What is up, my friend? Would you mind to be my co-driver for a little bit? Well then, welcome back to another episode, to another installment, to a rather new installment of the channel, which I have to make because I have to make somehow use of the time that I'm spending cruising through the vast forests of Scandinavia. Forests of Scandinavia, I want to say. So, my friend, it is the 7th of September. It is around 11 o'clock in the morning, and we are on our way to a village called Östersund, or rather a city probably called Östersund, because there supposedly resides the next station where I can tank CNG, compressed natural gas. Because for those of you who don't know, this is a car which uses primarily compressed natural gas for fuel. It can also use gasoline in the form of, Super 95 and all that stuff, but primarily it's CNG. So when planning a trip like this, one of the major challenges is actually to find out where you can refuel your CNG. The thing is, first of all, a little bit more of the conditions. We've got 9.5 degrees Celsius outside. It's slightly raining. It's raining for days actually, on and off already. So yeah, not the best conditions actually up here in Scandinavia. 9.5 degrees Celsius is also not super warm. It's kind of fresh, but it's also not that cold, I guess, for this area at least. And keep in mind, we're still in the summer season, so to say. We are on our way, as I said, to Östersund. We were yesterday in Torsby. Yesterday I arrived in a village called Torsby, which is where another one of these CNG stations resided. And it's always funny when you do a move like that. It's kind of an all or nothing move, because up here the distances are so vast that you use one whole tank on your way to get to the next refueling station. So if that station does not exist, or if it's out of order or anything like that, then you're pretty much trapped. You're trapped in the pampas because you can't refuel. You only have this kind of 8-liter or 10-liter gasoline tank. So what I would have to do then, what is the plan B that I hopefully never have to utilize, is that I get to a gasoline station, buy myself some canisters, and canister myself back out of these forests. This is the plan B, but I hope I never have to do that, because that would be really freaking time consuming and annoying. But anyway, we're driving here through these forests. This land is just incredible, I have to tell you. Boreal forests as far as you can see until the horizon, straight roads through it, a little bit up and down all the time. It's a little bit hilly, but there are no, as I said previously, there are no big mountains around here or anything. So you really have the feeling, you at least have the opportunity to go really in a straight line, so you don't have to drive that long compared to Austria to get somewhere on the map. But yeah, it feels so vast, man. Feels so big. Yesterday I saw my first moose when I, shortly before this village of Torsby, I looked to the side, to the right of the road, and was thinking, man, is this a cow? Is this a cow or something? It looks a little bit big for a cow. And I'm looking more closely, and then it is a female moose, Huge animal, man. Huge animal, bigger than a cow for sure. And it actually had one smaller one with it. So I suppose it was a mother, which is actually pretty, dangerous, I think, if you encounter it in the wild, because they are pretty protective of their young, understandably, and then they're gonna, screw you, essentially. But anyway, it looked at me, passing by, munching on some grass. That was really a memorable moment, man. I saw my first moose, and these animals, I don't know, really fascinating animals, because they are so huge, they carry a lot of weight around with them. Anyway, visiting Torsby, finding this CNG station and finding it working, super happy about it, of course, because it means that I can keep going. And then meeting these people of Torsby, because I overnighted there. And it's kind of a funny culture of restoring old cars, actually almost tuning old cars, getting some really deep sounding loud engines in them, and also some neon lights and some fancy colors sprayed on them, some nice subwoofers in the trunk and everything. It's a funny culture. They meet up there on their plaza in the center of the village, and then they show off their cars. And it was a Friday yesterday, so I suppose it was outgoing night, and everybody was driving in their tuned old cars. Really fun to watch. So that's the story of the old-timer tuners of Torsby. It was kind of fun. And today morning I started the journey, with this refueled tank of CNG to Östersund, which is where the next CNG station is supposed to be. And driving through the forests completely alone. At some point, I think I drove a half an hour or something without encountering any other car or anything like that. Just boreal forests, man. And it gives you this feeling of total isolatedness and loneliness. And when I think about it, it's actually kind of scary, because what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if your car breaks down now or anything like that? I mean, I always have my cell phone and stuff like that, but I think even the connection out here is not that great. But anyway, I'm just trusting in my fate here. Also, the funny thing is, when you're driving and you're finally then encountering someone again, because you're driving a bit faster than him, or he drives a bit faster than you, and then you meet each other on the same direction. It's funny, because a lot of times then people make these compromises, then I would drive a bit slower and he would drive a bit faster maybe, so that I don't have to overtake him, so that we can drive together a bit, so that we are not having this feeling of total isolatedness. This is funny, because here you can see again what kind of a social creature we are as humans, even when we meet each other on the road, so to say, in the context of total isolatedness and loneliness, especially then, we try to find compromises so that we can go together for a bit, because it feels so much more safe and relieving if there is somebody just like you, on this road driving in the same direction, so that you're not completely alone, essentially. So and through this kind of thing, I got into thinking about other stuff, like things like adventure intensity and density in the context of history, in the context of human history. And I thought, what about a human who lived like 10,000 years ago? What if this kind of human would be my co-driver now, and driving with me in this car like 1,000 kilometers a day if I want, if we have the endurance, if we have enough food in the car, if we would get enough fuel and stuff like that. I mean, we could go like 1,000 kilometers a day, no problem, today, For him, this would be just an absolutely crazy adventure, man. It would be a crazy adventure, crazy as hell. He comes from a time where he went maybe 10 kilometers a day, He was hunting, gathering food and stuff like that. And for him, those 10 kilometers a day had to feel kind of the same as for me these 1,000 kilometers a day, in terms of adventure intensity, And who knows, maybe even his hunting and dodging wolves and, dodging the saber-toothed tigers and stuff like that was even more of an adventure. There was more of an adventure for him that he could experience on that 10 kilometers of distance than I can experience on 1,000 kilometers of distance nowadays, because we have all these corn fields and these wheat fields, monoculture, cultivated land, where everything is the same for thousands of kilometers, And in this kind of sense, we have to have these roads nowadays and these cars which allow us to, to bridge those gaps, of boringness which we created ourselves by using agriculture and stuff like that, by transforming the world into a more boring place, unfortunately. And this kind of got me to thinking, the adventure intensity of back then and nowadays. Nowadays I'm chasing things like, I don't know, Hell and the Trondheim area and Flatanger, and all these forests that I'm crossing on my way to there doesn't really matter to me, although I'm quite sure I could get off the car here anyway, walk into the forest 1 kilometer and have one of the greatest adventures that I've ever had, probably in the Scandinavian forest here, surviving and, sheltering and overnighting and whatnot. But I have other goals now. So, and because I can reach these goals, I have to endure the time of, boredom, boringness to get to these goals, to drive thousands of kilometers to get there, That's kind of the crazy world we live in nowadays. And we have computers and we have TVs and cinemas and all of this kind of super dopamine stimulating things which make us need more adventure intensity than we should be able to to acquire, because we are kind of we are roughened down in that sense. We are not sensible enough anymore for the simple things, for the for what this guy, my co-driver from 10,000 years ago, was still sensible, and he could use these things for an adventure no problem, and the adventure intensity and consequently also his general happiness would have been the same, or if not even better than today. So this is something that I was thinking about while I was driving through these vast areas of forest, man. I mean, you're driving with me for some time now. You can see out of my back glass, and also a little bit to the window to the left here. It's forests, forests all the time, man. Forests all the time. Driving here in this road, the E45 from Torsby to Östersund. I'm really hoping that this gas station there is working. Otherwise, I have to canister myself back. I really want to avoid that. So that is basically it for this first episode of what should I call it? What should I even call it? Manny's car vlogs. Manny's car vlogs in the loneliness of Scandinavia or something. I don't know. You're gonna see in the title. That's it for now. I hope the sound is alright, by the way. I tested it out beforehand and I was quite surprised how good this mic is at picking up voice and isolating it from background noise. Background noise like the car and the radio and stuff like that. Also, it's raining all the time, so that creates this kind of drizzly noise as well. Hope the sound was alright, essentially. So then, see you in the next one. Bye.